So before you think this is one of those literally no help self-help videos, I want to let you in on things that I wish someone would have told me. Hi, my name is Zaria, otherwise known as Duo on TikTok. I'm currently the global social media manager at Duolingo. That one video of Duo twerking, that was my chaotic brain. When it came to choosing a career, social media was the perfect black box. And that's the thing. You can find a career that matches your passion without having a career be your passion. So today, I'm gonna talk to you about landing a job that you're passionate about, especially if it's not so, directly obvious like it was in my case. So to backtrack a little bit, my major in college was advertising, and I was really interested in how minorities are represented in media, how having careers in media for minorities, how that impacts inclusivity and the messages and subsequent ideas that society has about minority populations. At the time, when I was in college, I even founded a student organization called Taking Up Space, which was a group for students of color within our advertising program to honestly just take up space and have room to talk about their hopes, their fears, things they were passionate about, careers they wanted. And it was an awesome place to just talk about where can we find careers that match our passions given our identities and our backgrounds. Social media became a focal point for me because it seemed confusing enough that I still had a code to crack, and it was also very much a direct line of communication to our audience. When it came to representation in media, it felt like a perfect way to just talk to our audience, for others to see that there is a brown woman potentially running our account. And I think with social media and with fighting for representation, that always comes with the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's kind of true to finding a career at all. So this is the advice to my younger self. Mess ups you don't have to make because I already did. So let's talk a little bit about how I embraced my passion. One of my greatest passions was cracking the code on things that didn't always have a straight answer. And social seemed to be my direct line into that, which is cool, but how the heck does someone make that into a job? Another thing I really cared about was being happy. And that may sound like an eye roll, but it's pretty sad how quick we are, especially as junior talent, to throw away our happiness and what we care about and what we're passionate about when it comes to just breaking into the industry and getting a job. I know I'm coming from a place of privilege and access to say, do something that makes you happy, when the reality is some of us need to work out of necessity. But going off of what makes you happy, when I was looking for jobs, I had a really honest conversation with myself of what I wanted my career to look like, where I wanted to go, and who I wanted to be. And I think the toughest thing is that when you're in a competitive environment, it often becomes, yeah, this is what I may want, but this path will impress others. And for me, in advertising, the natural mark of success was a big agency in a big city with very little pay. But we don't discuss that for some reason. I tried it out. I did a summer in New York City. I interned at the big agency. I was not happy. I had to pivot. This is where the fun starts. I don't know why I said that. I quickly had to figure out what was for me. So enter the concept of calculated risk. I define calculated risk as a consciously bold decision that marries intention and impact. So for me, when it came to finding a job, I knew I wanted to work for a purpose. I didn't want my creative talents to just kind of be willy-nilly for brands and things that I just really didn't care about. I knew it wouldn't motivate me to be my best self and put my best foot forward. That's when my North Star came in. My North Star was always about being compassionate and passionate, no matter what I did, whether that was the student organizations I joined, the internships I decided to be part of, the friends in my life. I always wanted to be a compassionate and passionate human being. So while I was doing the LinkedIn doom scroll, trying to find any job that would accept someone like me with my job experience, I quickly found this job that I'm in right now at Duolingo. And what's funny is that it felt like such a natural fit, mainly because we were founded by two immigrants. So there came in that portion of representation that I really cared about. Our mission was to make education accessible. Again, something where I can be compassionate and passionate about. Things just started to click. Why was that decision risky? Isn't it just getting a job at a company that speaks to your values? Yes, I guess in hindsight, it does sound that simple. But for me, it wasn't the traditional path I was told to take coming from advertising. And making that decision at that time in my life was tough. Everyone around me was doing what they were supposed to be doing, and it felt like I wasn't. But what I did know, and what did keep me here and made me successful here and happy here, is that it was a conscious decision that was in tune with what I wanted and what Zaria cared about, not what other people cared about. I was setting up future Zaria for success. So here I am now, almost 2 years into this job. I have gone on an absolute whirlwind, but I'm here to tell you what I wish I knew. Here are 2 things that I think are so important. First, when you're looking for a job, think of every piece of communication you put out as creative real estate. Whether that's your resume, your LinkedIn cover photo, your cover letter, your application, every chance is an opportunity to show your personal brand. So for me, I've always been a little bit out there, definitely a little bit sassy, very sarcastic, kind of dry. And I wanted to be at a place where I could be myself, so I brought that forward. For example, my resume. Instead of saying my accomplishments and listing the scholarships and all that fun stuff, it's called Making Mama Proud. So stuff that just would be how I would communicate who I am as a human. And for some brands, that didn't work. But for Duolingo, it worked beautifully. And for me, that was an awesome point of discernment to be like, this didn't work for that brand, and this is me being my full self. So if it didn't work for them, then maybe I wouldn't be happy there. And that's okay. They probably wouldn't be happy with me either. It's about finding that balance of being enough of yourself while obviously still being professional, but figuring out where you fit in, where you are a part of that puzzle. Lastly, general life advice. Be kind to each other, but hard on the work. Since starting my job, I've always felt like the youngest in the room. And being with the youngest in the room often comes with one of 2 things. The normal experiences, of learning how to be in the workplace, gaining the chops to run a brand account, figuring out how to run a coffee machine, the basics. But the second is getting a lot of advice. And a lot of the time, it's super unsolicited. The issue I have with career advice that we often see is it's pretty much framed like this. If you don't take this path and you make this mistake and you don't do this, blah, 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 the whole world will crash, crumble, burn, and you will cease to exist and everything will go wrong. And for me, that just doesn't cut it. We need to learn to treat each other like humans. And that doesn't mean you can't be hard on the work. You can be hard on what you need to do, what you need to achieve, what you're putting out in the world. But we can still be kind to each other. We can accept each other for who we are. Understand that nothing and no one is bulletproof. We are going to make mistakes. And the best way to recover from those mistakes is being kind to each other when we're going through it and talking through it and making sure there's this open loop of feedback and care and consideration. So how did I take charge of my career? The biggest thing I did to get to this point right here was to find my heroes. Heroes that I thought had the career that I wanted and I wanted their jobs. I actually went on LinkedIn and I creepily scrolled through all their accounts. That's the beauty of LinkedIn. It's all public information. So I can scroll and no one can say anything. So quickly, as I began to get accepted into these different programs, get these scholarships, I became part of their network. And when you're part of their network, you have an easier access to talk to them about how they got their job and ultimately, how can I get your job too? Chase your passions first and the rest of the puzzle will solve itself. So what does the future look like for me? Well, as for the future, I'm still figuring out exactly where I'll be in 5 years. I mean, I'm also only 2 years out of college and I'm still figuring out what I'm good at, what I love. Is this passion a sustainable passion? Are my passions gonna change when I grow older? But what I do know is I'll be focusing on being that compassionate and passionate person I've always wanted to be. Whether that's through my work, who I am as a person, that is who I am, and I will continue to be that. So I urge you to find something that grounds you, that you know who you are, wherever you go, whether that's in your career, your life partner, whatever makes you happy. You'll be happy doing what you do every day.